Just when you thought the MCU couldn't get any, well, stranger, it's giving us Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Although I'm impatiently waiting for its release, I think it'll be a total game changer for the MCU. On a scale of 1 to Peter Parker, how excited are you about the Marvel Multiverse being incorporated into the MCU? Because honestly, I'm more fired up than J. Jonah Jameson with a big old handful of Spider-Man pictures. Comic book fans know that there are tons of amazing, weird, and downright crazy universes out there just waiting to be explored, and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness could give us a glimpse of what's out there. When you can move through time and space, things can get pretty weird pretty quickly, and I'm definitely here for it. During Avengers Endgame, we saw our heroes revisiting classic MCU scenes like the Battle of New York. But this traversal of the space-time continuum will bring uncharted territory to the big screen. If you thought seeing the Hulk sharing tacos with Ant-Man was strange, you ain't seen nothing yet. Peter Parker's interaction with Aaron Davis in Spider-Man Homecoming strongly hinted at the fact that Miles Morales exists in the main MCU timeline. And the deleted scene, as well as Marvel Studios head Kevin Feige himself, confirmed it. In the comics, Miles takes over as Spider-Man after Peter loses his life, and I do not know about you, but I'm not quite ready to say goodbye to Tom Holland in the MCU just yet. But if our pals Doctor Strange and Wanda Maxmoff just happen to take a trip to the Ultimate Universe, we could get to see Miles in action without sacrificing the MCU's version of Spider-Man. And that is what I call a win-win. Multiverse of Madness could also be an awesome way to show us hints of some of our favorite comic book storylines without going into them in depth. As much as I hate to admit it, it's probably going to be quite some time until we see the X-Men incorporated into the MCU. But at least the word mutant is no longer a dirty word. Let's celebrate our minor victories while we can. With that being said, I definitely wouldn't hate it if our heroes took a look at the reality featured in the infamous House of M storyline from the comic books. We know that Wanda Maximoff is going to be in the Multiverse of Madness, but whether she's a friend or a foe remains to be seen. The Scarlet Witch is always crazy powerful, but sometimes she's just downright crazy too. The House of M features a new reality created by Wanda where mutants rule over humans, and let's just say it's not the best time to be human. Seeing this would definitely shake Wanda to her core, and might even convince her to be a bit more responsible when it comes to utilizing her considerable powers. There are so many timelines in the Marvel Multiverse that show everything from our heroes in medieval times to what it would be like if everyone was monkeys or zombies. Of course, I'm not going to complain about seeing the Ape Avengers on the big screen, but there's another place I would love to see explored, and this place is a bit more alien. I'm talking about the Negative Zone, a mysterious universe with an impending expiration date. It's filled with alien species trying to survive and is composed entirely of antimatter. In the comics, this world was discovered by Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four, and it played a part in many of their adventures. Featuring the Negative Zone would be a discovery on par with the Quantum Realm, and could even give us a hint about how Marvel's first family will be introduced into the MCU. Plus, it would open the door to other epic characters from the Negative Zone, including Annihilus and Blastar. The multiverse has an amazing potential for unusual, potentially terrifying adventures. But let's not forget about Wanda's own potential for greatness, or disaster. Or great disasters, depending on whether you're a universe half full or universe half empty kind of person. What I'm trying to say is that Wanda has incredible abilities and the power to change reality, like she did in the House of M storyline I talked about earlier. While it's unknown just how large of a part she'll play in Multiverse of Madness, we do know that she's getting her own show, WandaVision, on Disney+. And based on what we've seen so far, it looks like things could get a little hectic. We've seen clues that the show will incorporate her kids from the comics, and Vision is somehow there, despite perishing not once but twice during Infinity War. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how Multiverse of Madness and WandaVision connects with one another. At San Diego Comic-Con, Kevin Feige confirmed that the movie and show will be closely related to not only each other, but the MCU as a whole. According to Feige, this is a totally new form of storytelling, where characters will bring their experiences from one format to another and vice versa. So the Scarlet Witch we see in WandaVision will indeed be the one who lived through the loss of Quicksilver, the decimation, and that scathing quip from Thanos during Endgame. I wouldn't be surprised if Wanda hears, "I don't even know who you are," when she's trying to fall asleep at night. While we're not sure exactly what'll happen during WandaVision, we do know that it will lead us into the events of Multiverse of Madness. Official details have been scarce, but of course there's more than enough speculation to go around. Right now, the prominent theory is that losing Vision will also cause Wanda to lose control of her powers, creating the unusual reality we've seen in the previews for WandaVision. Back in the first Doctor Strange movie, Wong chastised Strange for messing with the time-space continuum. And Strange followed up that stern talking to by trapping Dormammu in an infinite time loop, so clearly he took it really serious. But now that he's in charge of maintaining balance, Wanda messing with the fabric of reality would definitely fall under his jurisdiction. There have been rumors that instead of saving the day in Multiverse of Madness, Wanda may actually be a well-intentioned villain. Doctor Strange may end up facing a moral quandary about whether to save the multiverse by eliminating Wanda or trying to save her and risking the multiverse. And since this is the guy who said he'd happily turn over our beloved Peter Parker if it meant keeping the Time Stone safe during Infinity War, this could be a dangerous time for the Scarlet Witch. Which is certainly saying something since her time in the MCU hasn't exactly been peaceful so far. Obviously, Doctor Strange and Wanda Maximoff are the two major players here, but let's not forget that WandaVision is going to be introducing new characters and reintroducing some familiar faces. Teyonah Parris will be portraying a grown-up Monica Rambeau, who we saw as a child back in Captain Marvel. In the comics, Monica goes on to become a hero who goes by a few names, including Photon and Spectrum. We'll also see Kat Dennings reprise her role as Darcy Lewis, who we haven't seen since Thor: The Dark World. And Randall Park will be back as FBI agent Jimmy Woo from Ant-Man and the Wasp. It's entirely possible these characters and some we haven't heard about yet will be incorporated into Multiverse of Madness and beyond. With all this in mind, there are tons of reasons to be excited about this upcoming film and its impacts on the MCU. But one big question we have right now is who will direct it? Back when the project was first announced, we were told Scott Derrickson, who directed Doctor Strange, would be returning to take on the sequel. He was just brimming with new ideas for the movie and said that he was looking forward to incorporating horror elements into Multiverse of Madness. Needless to say, this sounded awesome to a lot of fans. But apparently Disney had some reservations. Before we could say sinister, Derrickson announced that he was no longer directing the Doctor Strange sequel. He claimed to be parting from the project on good terms, citing the old excuse of creative differences. While many Doctor Strange and horror film fans are sad to see Derrickson go, there are some exciting possibilities for his replacement. Let's see, who's an accomplished director who has experience creating some of the most beloved and iconic horror films and is no stranger to superheroes? Of course, I'm talking about the one and only Sam Raimi, who graced us with the Evil Dead and Spider-Man movies, as well as numerous other fan favorites. Fans have been desperate for Raimi, or at least elements of his Spider-Man films, to be incorporated into the MCU for quite some time, so it's no surprise that he's a popular pick. And according to Variety, our nerdy dreams are coming true, and Raimi will be at the helm of Multiverse of Madness. If you need to take a moment for celebratory screaming right now, I totally understand. There are tons of reasons to be excited about the possibility of Raimi directing Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and don't worry, I'll get to them in a moment. But let's not forget that Derrickson's untimely departure aside, directors tend to stick around for a while in the MCU. Meaning that getting Raimi to sign on to this project could ensure we get more of his superhero movies in the future, so let's talk about why that could be an awesome win for the MCU and its fans. It's no secret that Disney is a pretty family-friendly company. I'm surprised they even showed Thanos literally losing his head during Endgame. There is no doubt that Multiverse of Madness will be forced to stick to a PG-13 rating. But that's a restriction Raimi knows how to work with. Of course, there's plenty of gore in the first Evil Dead movie, but the second film, and especially Army of Darkness, have tons of comedic elements mixed in with a healthy dose of horror. And Raimi's popular Drag Me to Hell was PG-13, and that was Raimi's choice. Creating genuinely good horror that parents won't forbid their kids from seeing is something he clearly knows how to do well. And it could be just what Multiverse of Madness needs. I'm sure I don't have to convince anyone that Raimi knows how to adapt a comic book hero to the big screen. His 2002 Spider-Man movie was responsible for helping make superhero movies, well, a thing. I know it's hard to remember a time before Marvel was a box office behemoth, but there was a time when putting heroes on the big screen was considered a risky business move. Even beyond the nostalgia we all have for Spider-Man, it helped pave the way for the MCU we have today, so it's fitting for him to join the ranks of those who have directed a movie in the MCU. As much as I love Marvel movies, I have to admit that stylistically, there's not a lot of variation from one movie to another. It makes sense considering the fact they all take place in the same universe, but I definitely wouldn't mind Raimi shaking things up in the Multiverse of Madness. Taking a couple of trips to alternate timelines could give Raimi a chance to show off his skills and give us something new and interesting to look at. After all, the first Doctor Strange movie received a lot of praise for its visual effects, so the sequel would be a great time to take it to the next level. And if Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness gets away with presenting a more visually diverse MCU, other films could soon follow suit. Now, you skeptical fans might be thinking about the less-than-stellar Spider-Man 3, which even Raimi isn't proud of. But let's not forget that the big issue was the studio pushing too hard to incorporate certain elements into the film and Raimi losing his passion for the project. While Disney might not have agreed with Derrickson's vision of Multiverse of Madness, they've historically let their directors have more freedom when it comes to their projects. If Raimi's able to transform this little corner of the MCU, who knows what effects it could have on future films. We all know Doctor Strange is great at what he does, but I'm excited to see him show off his skills in all new universes. Let us know how you think Multiverse of Madness will impact the MCU in the comments section below. And don't forget to click subscribe for more great videos from CBR. We'll see you next time.